yata po, pero I think na gumaganan tanag na ikot pa no doon sa record. So, be polite, be courteous no with your classmate, your teacher, turn up your microphone, and no in the entire presentation, cannot distract no with the other sounds outside. So I'll be presenting our previous slide, the lesson one, the continuation of our discussion. So we have here the early development of the photography. So last time we discussed the early parts of this slide, and we discussed about the visual arts, and now we are on the other related no two-dimensional art, and then we will proceed now to photography. So we have already discussed the printing techniques no, from the intaglio, yung mga relief, lithography, screen printing or serigraphy. So these are some parts or included in the other related two-dimensional arts. So we have here photography, and it's already discussed on you the meaning of it now, that this is a chemical process or mechanical process of an image too. So moreover, we have here the picture of photography of how looks like it, and of course most of you or most of the joint students are using of it no the photograph no or the camera one. So we have here the early development of the photography no, or the other two-dimensional one. No? So we have the first attempt not to capture the image were made from a camera obscura since no the 16th century. So during that one, there is a practical device no that was devised conceived to harness the image of transferring of property of light no from a camera one na tinatawag nila. So wala naman talagang idea before talaga ng ganito ng konsepto ng paggawa. Then later on, the parang revise, some experimentation, and some development no of this one. Yung device na to was now become no as camera obscura that produce no an upside down perspective no of the picture that you get from the outside no or from the environment that you have captured. And then it proceed na doon sa camera obscura na ngayon from the small hole no na nakalagay doon sa may box na yon sa square part sa square size na yon no, na meron tayo na shape bago na kung saan papasok doon yung image going to that one yung light, and then yung hole will be the hole will passage the image, and the one that duplicates now the outside image na from the environment that you have captured, whether it's an everyday life or it's an sceneries now of a picture of the object or somebody who is the subject matter. But this one is in the uh, inverted na upside down yung kanyang itsura nakakalabasan no when it captured no to the camera obscura one na ginamit na device before. So we have here the other parts in the early development that's discussed that the image now inside of it are usually projected onto paper, adhered to opposite wall, and can then trace to produce highly accurate representation of the picture of it now, of the image na meron tayo. Then experiments in capturing image on film had been conducted in Europe since the late 18th century as to improve no, the camera obscura and later on called no camera, and it is been ano now considered no as a part of the photography lang po. So we have also the entry of the light no nung nangyari sa lens na meron tayong na camera obscura na kinokontrol yan ng shutter. So alam natin yung use ng mga yan in the parts of the camera. Then before, it doesn't have no a more complicated features. Unlike before, it has more adjustable and more different features that will also guarantee no our subject matter or subject will capture the best of what we want no on the picture na gusto nating makuha. And then, we have also no yung parts niya that will be help no to make it no a beautiful one yung subject na gusto natin makita. So how some other parts of the early development is here no that says camera or using camera obscura as guide. Early photographs found ways to chemically fix the projected image onto plates coated with light sensitive materials. So that's why no it is how it processed no in the treatment and how to make it no have the negative no or the producing of the permanent negative photo, the treating no with a series of chemical or putting some chemical solution to the one that I created no to the use of this camera obscura. Moreover, they installed glass lenses in their early cameras and experimented with like different exposure times for their images. No, so right now we have these no, different lenses also in different subject matter that we use that we replace it now from time to time depending on our subject matter and our locations that we have captured no and here is the some examples no, that mentioned here that there is a view from the window of the grass is one of the oldest existing photographs that been captured during the 1826 by a French inventor Joseph Niepce. So they use no, a process called heliography. Helio meaning sun and drop meaning light that they have. So the picture is come from the open area that pictures or photograph of the old image now that we have from Mr. Joseph Nipse. And we have here the exposure for the image took more 8 hours in process to resulting sun casting its light on the both sides of the house in the picture. Then further develops resulted in apertures within circular device that calibrated to allow a certain amount into the light exposed on the film. We know that those pictures no of using the different functions of the camera like the one that we use the aperture no and the shutter one that controlled no through the lens that we have in the entry of light we have here no on the camera no the mechanical process one of taking a picture and then we have apertures allowed photographers no bit better control over exposure times depending on their desired and the uh, average level or the concentration that we needed in the photographs na pinagawa natin. So we have here the example of the works no in the 1838 by Lewis no and this is a picture of outside no uh, that captures no the everyday life and of course the place outside wherein no the buildings the roads no are shown here. We have impact on other media. We have already noticed that the impact of the two-dimensional or related techniques, no, or the particularly the photography has a great no, impact on the other types of media that we have here because when we use photography, no, a part of drawing and painting or other paint dimensional in the visual arts, it has a unique characteristics that immediately captivate no the capability of making a realistic no duplicating an image from the nature or what subject matter is this or it may be in the form of everyday life so that is the advantage that may look no, into using of the photography. So that's why here in the impact on other media have mentioned that the advent of photography caused a realignment in the use of other two-dimensional media. So one of the related dimensional media or the visual arts, one of the popularly known during also that time is the photography because of this kind of characteristics that could not be or are realistically copy also by making or using of the skills of doing drawing and painting or a print one that we have. So there is also known that the photograph was now in direct competition with drawing, painting, and printmaking. So that's why now it become more popularized the photography or the photograph one. So unlike drawing and painting, it took times, but somehow Most only of the people who can afford to have this drawing and painting and have their portrait of themselves are those royal family and have money not to buy and to commission skilled painter no of that or during that time. The camera turns its gaze on the human narrative that stands before it. No? Then the photograph gave, for the most part, a realistic and edited view of our world that we have. So that's how they see, and that's how they change our perspective and looking into our pictures that we have using of this camera, and how is it change our notions, our perspectives at the same time, that reflects us, that turns into making a more beautiful use of the photography one. So we have here the other impact on other media that considered also known that in the early beginning, photography was considered to offer a more true image of nature because it was created mechanically, not by the subjective hand of an artist. So unlike the hand of an artist, subjectively, it can manipulate, it can be change the image or the facial features of an image that you have painting or drawing, while the photography or using of photography, we can we can capture the true image of a somebody or whatever it is in the subject matter that you wanted to capture, from it. So that's another way of an advantage, or another way of seeing the use of the good characteristics, of using photography. And it's used as a tool for documentation was immediate, which gave photo scientific role to play. Like in the like have here yung ating mga photograph from the sceneries in the newspaper and our TV motions in the news. Mostly the work of arts are made through the photography. Through this we can capture the true story about of it or behind of it, so we can provide an accurate information that give a best documentation for it. Next is the other impact on media that have here, the sequential instantaneous exposure by aid weird help to understand human and animal movement, but also the highlighted that photography could be used to expand human vision and imaging something that could be not seen in with the naked eye that we have. So this is how they use and created the use and purpose of the creation of photography that we have, and how they describe of it, and the relative immediacy and the improved clarity of photographic image quickly fitted the camera against painting in the genre of portraiture one that they have. So that's the another thing that we can consider, and we can see from the difference of the two or the other related to dimensional arts that we have in uh, in describing the difference between of it. Next, what do we have more? It's the other impact on media that we have before photography. No, painted portraits were offered only to the wealthy and most prominent members of society, for what I mentioned a while ago, and they become symbol of social class distinctions that who have this, or who can uh, uh, what they call this, who can not really afford, but who can get of it, from somebody who's commissioned by a skilled painter, and they become symbol of social class distinctions that we have, like what I said, from the royal family who can afford to commission, to have their portrait of themselves, the picture, and then mostly of this are become popular, and because of their distinct qualities of making, of painting, and through the use of different medium, that they are present during that time. Now, portraits become available to individuals and families from all social levels or across all levels that one that we have. So once you have the cell phone, or let's say before we only have camera, no, through the use of yung camera na meron tayo in the studio. But right now, since the technology become innovative and our cell phone are now installed, no, the camera or the photograph one, so we can instantly capture, no, our images or sceneries or whatever documentation it is, no, that you try to make or to capture for it. So we have photograph as an art now, which are considered also in the forms of the visual arts. So it wasn't long before photographers recognized the aesthetic value of a photograph that we had. So that's why a new medium, photography, began the march towards being considered a high form of art, wherein they capture everything and realistically shown the picture of what we want to see on the actual one picture. So we have Alfred understood this potential of the use of photography, and as a photographer also, editor and gallery owner, so he appreciate now that was a major force in promoting photography as an art form, wherein we can like now right now the course of multimedia arts, they're focused on the arts, focus on the photography, they focus on the using of the camera. So it shows no the appreciation of the beauty of the art that produced by this no of the photography one that we have. So he led also no, in forming the photo session in during 1902 years, a group of photographers who were interested in defining photograph as an art form in itself, not just with the subject matter in front of the lens that he had. So is it important to note also that our subject matter is the one that is in that have a key role or important role no, in our subject or in our arts. It always have no a representation of a picture of something that they want to give a meaning and to reflect from it. And because of their, let's say, the seminar or the training that they undergone, you know, that time, so they maybe confront no everyone to ask for a definition of the use and the beauty that produced by the photography one. So maybe it's an experiment from them. They called as photography as an art, a subject matter become a vehicle for an emphasis on a composition, lighting, and textual effects. So because of these characteristics, it become no this kind of way of provide no and capturing of an object or subject matter. So like what said by Thermal, it's an example of street photography, images from everyday taken with smaller cameras and little manipulations that we have that we seen it from our eyes. Also, we transfer it way through the use of our camera mechanical process. From terminal, we have captures no, a moment of the bustling city street in a cold winter day that captures no, of the whole gritty scene softened by stream rising of the horses and snow provide highlights, but the photo holds more than formal aesthetic value as it shown no, the meaning. So we have here photography is an art also. Let me check first. There's a sound coming from the home from our Google Meet. Somebody wants to join to our call. Admit. By the way, use your official email no, provided by our university. The domain is that cbs at cbsu.edu.ph for us no to easy access to our Google Meet no, from time to time. So it's a advantage also no using our email no that have provided ating school. I'm sorry. Ayan. So I am back with the presentation. So photography is an art. Ayan. So photography is an art. The jumble of buildings, machines, humans, animals, and weather condition provides a glimpse into American urban culture straddling 2 centuries no, period. So, with 10 years from the time this photo was taken, horses will be replaced, automobiles and substations will transform a large city movement into the 20th century. So, we changed it because of the drastic no, industrialization of our society, and it become an innovative, then produce no more different structures no on our cities and our places no where we are located right now. So these are some of the subject matter that they have mentioned in their photography. So we have here photography as an art. So it is included that photojournalism and photography's many subject placement. Photography is a medium that has a multiple subject placements that they have. So you as a journal students major, most of your works are inclined no, in making or using of the photography that are or that is an essential no matter in your course and at the same time in your profession in the sooner part of your life. So most of your works will depend on the medium that used now by photography that capture events, capture some moments, capture some pictures of the subject matter or the maybe called an everyday life no na meron tayo. So we have here no that it is used no as an art medium in journalism in advertising. You as a journal major, you make use no or you may be into advertising or you may be inclined or go with this work in advertising company no or selling some products. You advertise some goods. You maybe advertise some entertainment for a leisure one. So it could be also in the form of fashion industry. Also, no, we have this personally document of our lives that also no, become our biography no, later on. So like other things no similar with this. So we have it is one of the not the most pervasive from the documentation in the world that this multiple subject placement make it a complex phenomena to analyze no of us. So it brings more good no side to us and joyful and the taste that we have from coming from the photography give us delight and in that delight na meron tayo, will provide us more a symbolic na idea to the picture of what we have done in the photography or in the photojournalism also at the same time. No? So we have industry, the news industry was fundamentally changed with the invention of the photograph. So all the pictures were taken of newsworthy stories as early as the 1850s. The photograph needed to be translated into engraving before being printed in a newspaper. So that is one of the use of photojournalism and photography on our industry right now. So mostly of the of our newspapers are displayed no of a photograph or a picture of something that the subject matter is depends on the story that you have covered or you have interested into it no and there are many parts of the newspapers also photos are the one who catch our attention and give us more an imagination as to look into that and history or the background story of the story that you have uh, we have let's say you want to cover is something that you are want to expose more the accurate information from it no, through the representation of the feature of the scenery of this. So we have industry again that it wasn't until the turn of the 19th century that newspaper press could copy original photographs. So that's the new thing no, that we have that photos from around the world showed up on the front page of the newspaper as the headlines that they want not to see or to capture no, the big events or the big history that may happen from the other place that also may have an impact to us that's shown on the front of the page of this newspaper. So they have also here no, that journalism is a particular no, form of journalism that creates image in order to tell news story and it's defined by these three elements that the timeliness, it is timely mannerly discuss the important no, necessary story or information that inside of it, that the image have meaning in the context or recently published record of events that they have told on you, that the timely manner. objectivity. It is the representation of accurate and fair discussion of the events of the story that depict both content and tone of the picture. Next is the narrative that the image combined with other news elements to make facts relatable to the viewer reader on a cultural level. Why? So the unique create of combining of two relationship of the news that elements that you being written on the below on the picture of the that you have captured an events or such an events from it. So we have other modern developments of photography, like what we have here, that story that Edwin invented an instant camera that's capable of taking and developing a photograph. That time is 1947, that followed by the popular use of SX70 instant camera in the 1972. So this is one of the most expensive type of camera that been introduced during that time, that been become popularized, and has a 3 inches square foot format positive image and developed in front of your eyes. So meaning it could be easily produce the picture of it coming from what you have captured image lately, or for a minimum of a minute only. So the beauty of instant development for the artist was during the 2 or 3 minutes took image to appear, the film emulsion stayed malleable and able to manipulate that they have captured of an image that we have represented to our camera. So we have modern development from Lucas used the technique of manipulation to produce some of the most negative or imaginative and visually perplexing image on a series that he termed photo transformation, as he discussed more of his description. Using himself as subject, he told that explore ideas of self-identity, emotional states, and altered reality. He created on a film one. So that's the other development that he used and he adopted not to create it. So that is the SX71 that I have going on you. 3 inches square foot na meron tayo. Modern developments also here discussed. Digital cameras appeared on the market in the mid 1980s. So most likely yung mga meron ng ganito before like a studio, but eventually it become massive and become used by the public, and they allow capture the storage of image through electronic means and then charge couple device instead of photographic film that have been invented before. So here are some of the modern developments that describe also in the history. In this new medium DAO created big advantage over the film camera, that the digital camera produce an image instantly, store many images on the memory card in the camera that they are using, and the images can be downloaded to a computer where they can be further manipulated by editing, through the use of software that is available during that time and until now, and it could be sent anywhere through a cyberspace that the www, the World Wide Web one. So from that, we can now see and let us know review many photographs, as many as we have. So like what we have right now. So this eliminated the time that was involved film developments and created another revolution in the way we access visual information from before setting. And right now it is now uh, there is an abundance now of the images and other things that we can be uh, discover through the cyberspace now that we have yung www. So modern development changes that digital image start to replace those made with film while adhering the traditional ideas of design of composition. That is before that right now. It is now being changed and it's being now discover a new way of giving us now a more realistically or more imaginative way of presenting of our composition of ideas. So we have here yung photograph na ginawa, yung bingo time na meron tayo, that that you can be a subject matter before that one store one one store that captured by GEAR and use digital cameras that time that we have an ordinary setting or setup that we have. So here are some developments now in the modern traditional approach to create geometric order within the format. And here now we have the sign yells out of the attention, the black rectangle in the center, and what gets it on the one that we have on the picture of the culminating center one na meron tayo. So we have here the modern developments also tells that digital cameras and editing software let artists explore the notion of stage reality, not just recording what they see, but creating new visual reality for the viewer. So that's why they edit, they try to make it more realistically, and we are amazed of the product of creating, of the editing from the product of this one. Because of this, we could not imagine how is this being played or being recorded through the using of it, and what is the equipments or the other materials that have been used in preparing the stage play one, or what the emotion is being played or being shown for the public consume. So we have here the other developments now during the modern period. As a series image titled True Fiction 2. She uses now the digital process and the irony of the title that build fantastically color trim with images and sadly mundane faces one. So like that have yeah, like that one that we have here during this part of the second bullet one. So that will be the end of our discussion of the continuation of lesson one. Let's proceed to another slide of another topic of this uh, subject. So let me stop sharing first. So right now, can you see the another presentation?
Yes po, sir.
Kindly
Yes
confirm.
po.
Okay,
Yes
very
po.
good.
Yes po.
Okay, po, very good. Thank you for your confirmation. So we have right now here the new topic for this morning. We have art appreciation, but most importantly, now the topic is all about the methods of presenting the art subject. No, one. So we have here no first the basic relationship in art. No, is number one, artist is the one who is created, and it question of the who, no, and we or I is the artist that is talking about for this question. The subject matter is what? It could be you, it could be in everyday life, it could be a somebody, it's an object or animal or sceneries or anything that could be part of your photography, as you shown as your subject matter. Or in short, it questions about what is it all about, or was it what is it not in the picture of your photo. So the audience is why they are the one who is asking for, and then they they wanted to see more of the realization or what is inside of it the picture. So the question is why. So the form, how is it being formed? How is it being created? And what is it uh, typical, or what is it type of kind or types that we have. So it questions about how is it being formed, your medium, and many things. So like here what we have in expounding our relationship with our arts, we have here artists, who have exhibit na exceptional skills. But everyone have an exceptional skills creating art na meron tayo. We have artists more sensitive and more creative. We have using our senses. We have using our different senses and interpret it. And through that, we can create now a more an accurate and more reflective type of an art. So that's why I become more creative and create now different type of art that we know or that we want to explore more. Possess unusual degree of interpreting ideas in artistic form through use of words. So we have pigments, stones, notes, or any other materials, in relation to art or creating an art. So it's not only relating to an visual arts, also other forms of arts that we have already discussed in the world of arts now ng mga artists. So who created it also the one that who asked for that who is the author, sinong painter niyan, and many more that you can ask for more, but for the one who created for it. Two kinds of artists, the creators and performers, that we have. So yung artist natin, pwedeng gumawa niyan, the one who created, and the one who are performing with this. Could be in the dance, could be in the music, or what arts that have in this field. We have the influence now, what can affect the work of art of the artist. Everyone has the influence of doing of our arts, our own arts, by showing it to our audience, because our style are influenced by our, let's say, ourselves, by uh, listening or watching or reading of something that could affect your style now doing your art. Or you are following somebody, or you are admired somebody who is well known and good for that kind of art that you wanted not to follow for and to be an associate or apprentice of it. We have historical, the one that we have from the community, and historical background, or the history of ourselves, even our community and other perspective that can be conclude that historical one. Let me check first the home screen. Tumunog. Okay, wala namang nag-admit but tumunog. Anyway, moving to the our presentation, we have geographical or location. It depends now when we are located from the region that we are placed right now. So it can influence ourselves by the cultures, the values that we have, that we hold to, and what we are believing for. Political, psychological, and sociological one that we have. So it is important to note our political self. Now we as a human beings, we are not only here now in this world. We are living together with other people. So they might be agreed now. We have some political will, some political aspect of life or principle that could be an interested now that would influence our artists now. Of course, psychological, the way how we think, our imagination, our peculiar way of creating of a picture of it, the way how do we believe, of such a thing, if it is fictional or non-fictional one, or a fantasy one that they have, and the sociological, the way we live in the aspect from it now of certain society, our community, our people now belong to, or what else. The religious in the perspective on where art is also part of it, na nagiging isa sa pinaka one of the major changes and contributions ng ating mga sarili in influencing ourselves in presenting of an art that we have, that how we created and how we express our appreciation through the use of it. So like this, we adore, we use it, and we tend to create, from some of the religious aspect, that we have right now, like in the churches or inside of the churches. We have the biblical images that shows of our manner, of our beliefs in the religions na meron tayo. So we have the technological. It changes now because it influenced us no, of the industrialization, and also it voiced out no, the new changes of the new society that could harmonize ourselves no, to the new generations na meron tayo. So, like yung balikan lang natin yung religious, it could create na yung mga worshiping way of natin of deity or expression of our festives, no, and other way of showing us, no, our self, no, in believing one thing or believing one God. So that's what influence and affect the work of an artist. One, we have the subject matter. The subject matter of art is the matter to be described or to be portrayed by the artist, as like what I said, as you want to capture, or the subject one that you wanted to be, the subject, uh, object, person, or whether it's unseen or even one on us. So it answered the question, what is it about, no, all about the picture inside of it. No? So, yun yung mga pwede natin makita. So it is only limited on the person, object, scene, or event. It could be an animals, no? It could be an environment. It could be ourselves, the, the, the portrait, no? It could be history, no? It could be something that we want to express, no, in our subject matter. So there are two types of subject, no, according to subject matter one na meron tayo. So we have representational and the non-representational. So the first one is the art now that called objective art or representational, because they attempt to copy even if the subject matter is something that is real. So meaning it uses form and it's concerned with what is to be depicted in the artwork. So they recognize the depict object from the imaginary or real one, no, object or subject. While the non-representational or non-objective, it's the total opposite of the representational, which it's formed in the abstract sense that it doesn't represent real objects in our external world or in our world, and uses content that is concerned that with how the artwork is depicted. So that is how is it described too. So, which is we have here no other sources of subject matter that could be part of the our subject no to be used no on our presentation of the photography or in the arts. So we have the nature, we have scenery, we have animals, history, religion, mythology, folklore, everyday genre. The nature or the scenery, it's in the environment, like yung uh, hiking lovers, yung mga people who are engaged no into creating or mga plantito plantita, no, or it could be a scenery of something, no, of that can happen of a story of, or it doesn't have any story, or they capture only the image of the scenery that we have this a witness now from the travel or from what they have seen as they experience directly with it. So animals, no, we have many animals that we have can be part of our subject matter now to be used. Now we have the popularly known yung mga cats in our domestic, no, in the domestic houses, like in dogs, no, these are animals that are mostly, no, are commonly captured, no, as a subject matter or the sources of subject matter in our domestic, no, houses. So history that would also no picture of some of the uh, past events, past story that have captured, no, or some of the imagery of the picture that happened before, or something that be a part of our historical background or historical history, no, or story. And religion, that the one we adore, and we have mythology, folklore, and the legend one that we have during the pre-colonial one, no? And even until now it is still existing, no, as a source of subject matter, as to portray something picture or story about something everyday life or genre, the one that we have that we have captured, from our everyday living, and the also the domestic one that we have, or even it is now our experiences directly from our visit from the different places, or some locations, wherein we can uh, capture, some story or moments that we have. So we have methods of presenting the subject matter. Right? So we have here the first one, which is the realism, which called or defined as attempt to portray the subject as it is. As they attempt to portray as it is, they want the realist one try to be as objective as possible, so that he want to describe accurately and honestly as possible the picture has observed as the use of his senses. One. Okay po. So that is how is it looks by the realist person to incline of making using of these methods. So we have next the meaning, which is the undistorted by personal bias. Realism believe in the ideology of objective reality and revolted against exaggerated emotionalism of showing the picture of presenting upon art. So like what we have here of the example of realism, showing us portraying realistically and accurately and with honest as possible of what he observed through the use or through the senses that he have sensed from it this object. So we have here the abstraction, which one that we can be of the subject matter of presenting choices. So here in the abstraction, we have the total opposite of realism that it can be described. There is no move away from the original or from the direct picture or separate meaning of the abstract. So we have no showing of situation, we're not showing subject at all, and as in subject as reality, but only his idea or his feelings about inside this abstraction type of presentation. So we have now different forms that could be given as an example of it by doing of an art with different representation by it so we have here yung ating uh, yung ating abstraction that could be an example of the picture something that you can describe that somebody who can interpret of it in different way like others that he can describe a legs of horse, a leg of horse wherein yung kanyang pinaka base is the shoe or maybe yung kanyang foot na meron tayo. So next is the forms of abstraction that can be described too. So we have here the distortion that subject is manifest clearly subjects is being misshapen or being twisted not in the regular shape and misshapen condition yung kanyang looks. So it is no longer correctly or depicting the right picture or shape of it. So that is the distortion that we have example. So we have here the elongation of referring to something that is elented for traction or extension of something of an object like we have here the subject of the example of the resurrection one na meron tayo. No? Next, we have here the mangling. Mangling is the commonly used by way of representing of an object, or an abstract subject. But there are few artists who show the subject objects which are cut, described as lacerated, mutilated, torn, hacked, and disfigured. And it could be with repeated blows one that we can represent into the picture. So that pictures na pwede nating makita is like yung sa mga theater or play, like yung mga some mutilated images of a picture, like some every the All Souls Day na meron tayo. So every November 1. So yun yung mga katatakutan, mutilated one, a picture of showing of an image. No? The next is the also yung mangling used for yung ginawa ng mga artist that yung mga plastic na tinatawag na plastic mask no, on their face no, to use as to create new image of their character. So also yung cubism natin, yung music cubism, it's more on the geometrical no, basic shapes that include of this one no, and use a cone or cylinder or sphere as to expense no, pictorial elements as you want to show of it. Like this one, so we have here the abstract expressionism, which is style now of applied paint no rapidly to the canvas, and here no is lack of the refinement in the application of the paint. So that's why it's an abstract expressionism. So ito pa yung kanyang magiging looks. So we have here the next is the symbolism. A symbol is a visible sign of something of an invisible, such an idea or quality that can possessed by somebody or individual. Well known for symbols are arise from conventional usage and association and general relationship of one object. So we have here no of the picture of something that is symbolism that characterize no, an invisible idea or quality to what have we have fight for and done for during that time when the EDSA one. So we have here the Fauvism, now one of the type of presenting of the art in a subject matter that we can give it to this. Now, by the way, to add the symbolism, also no, included are in symbolism that the painting of Spoliarium, the one that he expressed no, the anger over the abuse of cruelties, no. Also, ng ating mga Spaniards, as he described by this person kung working on Luna. Self-Fauvism is the meaning no, wild beast no, in which no, use of bright colors. Most of these artists na in the Fauvism is trying to paint pictures, comfort, joy, and pleasure no, that they want to explore too. So the Fauvist did not attempt no, to express the way of his ethical and philosophical and at such the way of psychological also no theme. So example of this now that the bright and have extremely use of bright colors are here. So yeah. So what do we have more is the Dadaism. Term Dada is a French word means heavy horse, consisting of wooden horse mounted on a stick. With this etymology, we could say that Dadaism is a system of art which is per se nonsensical one. So Dada is art called also as a playful and highly experimental that what hold no in arriving of word of using nonsensical. So that's why they create an exhibition of nonsensical way of presenting of an art. So like what we have this no, in the picture. So it's an experimental and playful no, way of expression of art and nonsensical way of presentation. So we have here the futurism. So the futurism is futurist painters who are wanted to works not to describe or capture the speed and force of the modern industrial society as he want to perceive for us the picture. It may be in the form of different arts that could be used in presenting the subject of arts or the combination of other forms of subject matter. So that is the way how they look now in the futurism now in the modern way or more so in an innovative way also presenting of an art like this one. So we have here the uh, uh, surrealism. In the surrealism part, we have an offshoot no, of a child that called Dada, a super realism na tinatawag. And it this no surrealism no use no against the evils of restriction of the surrealists know how they see the society and they want to they want to point out na yung kanyang imaginations, no, or real things, no, or could be a fantasy one from their unconscious mind that you have. So like what have happened now, the movement of the influence by Freudian psychology, has he emphasized the activities of the subconscious of the state of mind or the structures of personality, one that we have the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious one. But here we are only focusing on the for emphasizing on the focus of the activities ng subconscious mind natin. So to start, we have the subject of this kind, how to attempt to show the inside meaning on the person, mind, as well as the appearance of his outside world, meaning what. So there are two types of surrealism. The first one is veristic, then followed by automatism or abstract surrealism. So in this part, we have the veristic one. So allow the image, the subconscious to be undisturbed so that the meaning could be understood through analysis. By that, they follow image of subconscious until conscious could understand the meaning. So ibig sabihin, you go in the in-depth one and you go with the meaning and tell it to become a clear picture of it as you want to describe what is this meaning and what do you want to emphasize of this. Automatism or other automatism on the other hand or meanwhile is not the image, the subconscious should not be burdened by meaning. So they are represented in abstract form. It focuses more on the feelings and less analytical, as it's shown on the picture. So there are less of the emphasizing of the image or of a feeling that something or sorry it focus or emphasizing on the feelings and less on the analytical as it's shown on the subject matter as you want to represent on the subject matter one. So like what we have this now in the picture that has been shown, in the image that you want to portray, that you want to recall the picture or the image of this person. Like what we have this now that we have on the second one, on the automatism one. So only the feelings are present, but the ideas now are not, or the imaginations are not clear here. So, like also here, in the picture, that distracted, that doesn't have no convey any features or any objects that could be easily recognized by our eyes and see it, and identify it. So we have surrealistic techniques, in using this one. So the scale, levitation, juxtaposition, dislocation, transparency, and transformation. So these are some of the parts that could have, and okay. The last one is Impressionism one. So the Impressionism one is also sometimes referred as optical realism, and this is an emotional expression of expressionistic way, wherein describe morbidity, violence, or chaos, or tragedy, or sometimes it could be portrayal of the defeat. It may be right now it could be depend of how you project an object as you want to perceive or as you want to describe something. And this exponent now of the expressionism necessity on the spiritual revert per man of the age of first becoming during that time. So, yun yung mga meron tayo when we turn to expressionism part of the expressionist or impressionist part. And this is an example of expressionism that which is not uh, finish of the object of the subject matter that you want to present into that one. So it's only an impression of an object or subject one that you want to portray on your subject matter sa painting or any type of art that you want to discuss or to become a subject matter. So we will stop sharing na po and then go to the home screen. And now you can now ask for questions, and then uh, you can now add something or what is it now come in your mind, the questions that you want to address. Beginning now.
Sir,
Hello, good morning.
good morning po. This is Francesca po. Regarding po sa surrealism, surrealism is not this form of art. Surrealism is the movement na ginamit po nila Dada and Salvador Dali after the World War II to
Mm,
convey
mm,
their emotions, trauma, and their um, propaganda against the colonizers po. Surrealism,
mm,
nag-originate po talaga siya used to political purposes, and then nagkaroon lang po siya ng variations nung panahon na ni Salvador Dali, wherein they included na po yung mga
mm,
juxtaposition, which combining two unusual objects na hindi po kino-combine, like the lobster and the telephone, the idea of
Oh, during that time.
during that time po. Then ngayon po, nag-evolve na
Opo.
din yung surrealism, which is mainly they focus na
Mm,
po din sa mga fantasy, dreams, ng mga artists, kung ano yung how they
mm,
see the world they themselves po. And yung iba nga po,
Yun na yung
katulad,
bagong transition ngayon.
yes po, katulad nga po dun
Mm,
sa nabanggit po, yung iba po, yung surrealism nila is yung first one is na-identify po siya, kumbaga may kwento pa. But yung iba po kasi, nagmumukha siyang abstract kahit na surrealism siya. Kasi po, unusual yung mga bagay,
Tsaka
merong,
could not be identify easily the meaning of it, no, as they want to reflect to the
yes
image
po,
in the representation po.
opo.
Well, actually, yan yung mga... Oh, sige, go ahead.
Yung mga optical illusion po sa isang certain
Isa rin
artwork
yun.
po, kasama rin under po siya ng surrealism. Lalo na po yung mga mirroring, yung negative and positive po sa isang painting. Kasama po siya dun sa surrealism po.
Mm. Pero somehow no it correlated to some personality daw or
Yes
some
po.
parang pinaglalaroan nila the way they want to merong they want to achieve something no as to use no the art like you have a problem, it's something that is moving or something that's unusual na sinabi niya doon sa direction na yun from the instruction na nabasa natin. So that is wrong and there is no connotation or walang validity yung ganong konsepto no for us na to understand well-being yung ganong mga issues. So good, ganda nung history na binigay mo but for me we are only focused no on the uses no of this following one. And one good thing na we heard from you the different historical changes also from this type of art that we have.
Sir, question po.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, Starry Night of Vincent Van Gogh po is
Opo.
considered po ba na surrealism or is just a depiction of his ano lang po, parang how he see the night during his asylum?
So alam mo naman siguro yung history na kung bakit at ano yung
Yes,
background niya. Tama ba?
opo.
You use the asylum one. Eh. Tama po ba? Tama po?
Kasi, opo, kaya lang po kasi, di ba po, meron po siyang eye defect, ganyan. Kaya po nakikita niya po yung light ng pabilog, which is, kaya po siya nag-translate dun sa
Mm-mm.
Starry Night, ganun yung stars niya. Parang, naisip ko lang po ngayon if it is surrealism kasi it came from his imagination and fantasy or ano lang po siya, parang impressionism niya lang po.
Pwede din po yun because that time kasi pwede din nating sabihin na it could affect the psychological way of how we believe of how he believe and how he see no the external world that we have like
Oh,
what we have na yung subject matter niya like yung the position and the object that we have, so that's the
opo.
way how we can also understood yung representation niya. Hindi ano kasi controversy kasi hindi kasi siya normal during that time that we can
Yes
say that
po.
they are telling accurately a picture of something or object. So that's why. And some conspiracy also yung ganong mga picture is telling no of the UFO, yung mga bilog-bilog, yung
Yes
mga
po.
ganong object or features that we cannot conclude and give a real meaning of it, that we can identify them no directly to what is it is or to what it is and what such thing is representing for this object inside the painting, since yun nga yung naging background ng ating painter. So we cannot generalize and get the accurate one answer from it. But then again, you can research, you can get some information also from it na pwede natin siguro maging leading or direction of the answering of our questions on our mind, or some clarifications that we want to get or to answer to this one.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po.
Mm-mm. Like siguro pwede mo ring tawag dito, yung painting naman na ni Leonardo da Vinci na Mona Lisa. So you can search
Yes po,
about it.
sir.
Isa
Medyo
rin
that
yun.
time, controversial din po siya kasi, di ba po, di ko po sure kung during Renaissance pa po siya o classical. Kasi parang hindi po lahat ng babae that time na kamukha ni Mona Lisa. Then controversial
Very
siya.
good. That's a good
Naging
good
reference
observation
ni Leonardo da Vinci po. Like,
sa
yung
paggawa.
lay, ganyan, tapos medyo round yung face, which is during his time po, di ba po, pag sa kanila po galing na lahi is parang mga magaganda po yung posture, and
Very good.
perfect angular faces po. Then si Mona Lisa po biglang nag-exist.
Very good. Good observation yun mula doon sa mga nabasa mo. And what is the real history of it na pwede natin makita? And bigyan ko kayo ng ano pa?
Si Mona Lisa po, hindi po siya dapat nagiging ganun ka-famous na painting. Pero dahil po sa isang nangyaring robbery, ninakaw po ng isang French team, di ko pa sure yung nationality, pero ninakaw po siya. Then, nung napansin po siya na wala siya dun sa gallery, 2 years after po nahanap yung painting, which is binalik po siya ulit nung nagnakaw. Hindi po siya binalik. Binenta siya ulit nung nagnakaw dun sa museum. Kaya po naging famous si Mona Lisa. Then, yun po.
And then, yung mga magagandang story behind of our painting or some of the accidentally become popular work of art. Yeah. So, yun yung mga pwede nating i-share na Miss Francesca. Very good idea, and good participation yung ginawa mo for this morning. So, go ahead, Mr. Clifford. You are open microphone. Miss Marie. Go ahead, Mr. Clifford.
Okay na po, sir.
Anong okay na? What do you mean okay na? Hindi ko nasundan, sorry. Anyway, sige kung ayaw mo naman. Miss Marie, do you have concern? Miss Marie? Or none? I think meron lang problem siguro sa internet. Or shall we end na po to rest then? And confirm or somebody can answer for my question. Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello po, sir. Wala na po, sir. Wala naman pong tanong, sir.
Okay po. Thank you. All right, so I'll be stop recording and we'll be leaving the room na rin po. So we can rest and let us pray first na before we end. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, to the Holy Spirit, as it was the beginning, is now, and never shall be, world without end. Amen. The Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy eating to your merienda or magbe-breakfast or early lunch. God bless po. Ingat po tayo palaging lahat. And kita po tayo muli. Salamat po.
God bless
Salamat po,
palagi.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you